Hey everybody, Linus here. And have you ever heard someone say, Psh, I don't need antivirus, have a Mac? Yeah, that's what we thought.
But let me tell you, that's just one of many cybersecurity myths that could be putting you at risk in this digital age. Think your Mac is immune to viruses, or that strong passwords alone will keep hackers away? Think again. Today we're diving deep into the biggest cybersecurity myths that put people at risk. And trust me, these misconceptions are everywhere. We're talking about the beliefs that people cling to, thinking they're safe, when in reality they're practically walking around with a big fat "hack me" sign on their backs. So buckle up, because we're about to expose these myths and, most importantly, give you the real deal on what you need to do to stay safe online. Let's do this. All right, let's tackle this one head on. The myth of the invincible Mac. I know, it's tempting to think that Macs are somehow immune to viruses and malware. And it's true, back in the day, Macs were a much smaller target for hackers. But guess what? Times have changed.
You see, as Macs have become increasingly popular, they've also become a much juicier target for cybercriminals. Think about it. More users equals a larger potential pool of victims, and hackers, well, they love a good statistic.
So what kind of threats are we talking about here? Well, Macs are susceptible to the same range of malware as any other operating system. We're talking phishing attacks, designed to trick you into giving up sensitive information, nasty Trojans lurking in seemingly harmless downloads, and even ransomware, which can lock you out of your own files until you pay a hefty sum. Not exactly the seamless Apple experience you were hoping for, right? Now, before you panic, there's good news. You can absolutely protect your Mac and keep those digital gremlins at bay. First and foremost, get yourself a reputable antivirus software. And no, I don't mean just relying on the basic protection that comes built in. Invest in a solid antivirus suite from a trusted provider, one that specifically mentions macOS compatibility. Think of it as an insurance policy for your digital life, but it's not just about antivirus. You also need to be smart about what you download and install. Avoid clicking on suspicious links or opening attachments from unknown senders. Stick to the official App Store whenever possible, and always double-check the source of any software before you install it on your precious Mac. Remember, a little bit of caution goes a long way in the digital world. Okay, let's talk passwords. We all know the drill. Make it long, make it complex, throw in a bunch of random characters. You know the deal. And while a strong, unique password is incredibly important, seriously, don't even get me started on people who still use password 123. It's not the be-all and end-all of online security. It's like locking your front door but leaving the windows wide open. The reality is, hackers have gotten incredibly sophisticated in their methods for snagging your precious passwords. They're not just sitting around trying to guess random combinations anymore, though brute force attacks are still a thing, which is why password length matters. They're using sneaky tactics like phishing, where they trick you into entering your credentials on a fake website that looks deceptively real. They also use keyloggers, which secretly record everything you type, including your passwords, and even exploit data breaches to get their hands on massive lists of usernames and passwords. So, what's the solution? Well, aside from, not falling for phishing scams, seriously, be careful out there. One of the best things you can do is enable two-factor authentication, 2FA, wherever possible. 2FA adds an extra layer of security by requiring you to enter a unique code from your phone or email in addition to your password. That way, even if someone does manage to get hold of your password, they still can't access your account without that second factor. Another essential tool in your cybersecurity arsenal is a password manager. I know, remembering a million different passwords sounds like a nightmare, but that's the beauty of a password manager. It remembers them for you. Not only that, but it also generates super strong, unique passwords for all your different accounts, so you don't have to worry about reusing the same password across multiple sites. Trust me, using a password manager is a game changer when it comes to online security. Let's talk about incognito mode, that little feature that promises to make your browsing history disappear like magic. And sure, it can be handy for hiding your online activity from other people who might use your computer. But here's the thing, incognito mode doesn't actually make you anonymous online. Think of it like this. Incognito mode is like borrowing someone else's car. Sure, you might be able to drive around town without anyone knowing it's you behind the wheel, but the car itself is still registered and there's a record of its movements. Similarly, when you browse in incognito mode, your internet service provider or ISP can still see all the websites you visit. So can your employer if you're using a work computer, your school if you're on their network, and even the websites themselves. And let's not forget about all those sneaky trackers that follow you around the internet, collecting data on your browsing habits. So how do you actually achieve a decent level of anonymity online? Well, the most effective solution is a VPN, or virtual private network. A VPN encrypts your internet traffic and routes it through a server in a different location, masking your IP address and making it much harder for anyone to track your online activity. It's like putting on a digital disguise, making it much harder for anyone to see what you're up to. But it's not just about VPNs. You can also take steps to block those pesky trackers with browser extensions like uBlock Origin. These extensions act like little internet bouncers, preventing trackers from loading on websites and collecting data about you. Remember, the less information you share online, the better. Our public Wi-Fi, the siren song of the digital age, luring us in with the promise of free internet access. But just like that mythical siren, public Wi-Fi can be incredibly dangerous if you're not careful. And no, a password doesn't magically make it safe. Think of it this way. Imagine you're having a private conversation in a crowded room. Just because you're whispering doesn't mean others can't overhear what you're saying, right? Well, public Wi-Fi is kind of like that. Even if it has a password, it's still a shared network, meaning anyone with the right tools and a little bit of knowledge can potentially intercept your data.
One of the most common ways hackers do this is through what's called a man-in-the-middle attack. Essentially, they position themselves between you and the Wi-Fi network, intercepting any data that you send or receive. This means they could potentially get their hands on your login credentials, credit card information, and any other sensitive data you transmit.
So what's the solution? Well, the best advice is to avoid logging into sensitive accounts like your bank or email while on public Wi-Fi. If you absolutely must access these accounts, use your phone as a hotspot, ensuring you have a strong password, of course. But the best solution for securing your connection on public Wi-Fi? You guessed it, a VPN. Remember, a VPN encrypts your internet traffic, making it much harder for anyone to snoop on your online activity, even on a public network. It's like having your own private tunnel for your data, keeping it safe from prying eyes. Let's address this misconception head-on. The myth that hackers only go after big fish, massive corporations with tons of data and money to spare. While it's true that large companies are often targeted, the reality is that hackers are equal opportunity offenders. They're not picky. They'll go after anyone they think they can exploit, and that includes individuals and small businesses.
Think about it. Why spend all your time and effort trying to breach a massive corporation with Fort Knox-level security when you can cast a wider net and target millions of individuals who might not be as diligent about their online security? It's all about return on investment for these cybercriminals. Plus, with the rise of automation, hackers can now deploy their attacks on a massive scale, targeting millions of potential victims with relatively little effort. They use bots to scan for vulnerabilities, send out phishing emails en masse, and even try to crack passwords with automated tools. It's like a digital army of cybercriminals working around the clock.
So what can you do to protect yourself? Well, first and foremost, keep your software updated. Software updates often include security patches that fix known vulnerabilities, making it much harder for hackers to exploit those weaknesses. It's like locking your doors and windows. It's a basic security measure that can make a world of difference. And of course, always be cautious with suspicious emails and links. Don't click on anything that seems even remotely fishy, and be wary of messages from unknown senders. Remember, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. So there you have it, folks. 5 common cybersecurity myths busted wide open. Look, I get it. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that these threats won't happen to you, that you're somehow immune to cyber attacks. But the truth is, believing these myths can put you at risk. The digital world can be a dangerous place, but it doesn't have to be. By staying informed, staying alert, and taking the right precautions, you can significantly reduce your risk of becoming a victim of cybercrime. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more cybersecurity tips and tricks, and be sure to share this video with your friends and family. Let's all do our part to make the internet a safer place for everyone. Stay safe out there.